Welcome back to the Torque Test channel. This is part 2 of the 2021 Compact Impact Wrench Shootout. Today we have the Nitrocat 1056XL Compact Composite and the Harbor Freight Earthquake Compact Extreme Torque Stubby half-inch impact wrenches. These will be going up against the IR35 Max and Astro Nano shown here from the last episode, as well as up against the new Gen 3 Milwaukee. On this channel we test modern impact wrenches versus old school torque ratings. Essentially, assuming your father's impact was rated at an honest 450 foot-pounds, what do modern impact wrenches really make compared to that? Manufacturers admit there's currently no way to compare torque ratings, so in a world where brands are now advertising 1600 foot-pounds, this is our attempt at leveling the playing field. It won't disprove the brand's ratings, but it should allow us to actually compare power levels across brands. If you're curious how this testing rig was made, or the airlines, air fittings, air pressure we use, please see episode 1 where that's discussed. The Aircat here comes in as one of the longer mini impacts in our series, similar to the 35 Max, around 4.5 inches or longer, so it'll need to put up some good numbers to make up for that. Its design and grip are sort of cool. The overmolding is nice, although the bottom lip sort of digs into your hand if you're using it for very long. The Harbor Freight XT Compact is super small, very similar to the Nano, which is maybe just a little bit shorter. It feels tiny in the hand, which is a good thing, but also feels quite light. I think that Harbor Freight doesn't make it clear enough in their marketing just how small this is. Per usual on our channel, we're going to hop right into the testing. So this is the Aircat Nitrocat working torque. And the Harbor Freight working torque. Now here is max reverse torque. And the Harbor Freight as well. So out the gate, both of these impacts make a significant amount of forward working torque, but in the Aircat's case, it becomes even more impressive in reverse, whereas for some reason on the Harbor Freight, it makes less power in reverse, which is usually the other way around. You have more trouble removing a fastener than retightening it. So if you look at the curve for the red, which is Harbor Freight, and the black, which is Aircat, Harbor Freight doesn't beat itself in reverse, and it's 80 foot-pounds under the Aircat after 10 seconds, which is significant in this power range because that's like 30%. We'll see how they do in 15-second tests at higher static pressure. So as you probably heard or saw in the test, the Harbor Freight really did not like higher static pressures. It sputtered a couple seconds in, and you can see the power drop in the graph in red. and this seems to not improve over its 10-second 90 psi test even when turning the pressure up, because for some reason the hammers or the air motor sputtered and stalled briefly, which hurt its score. I actually tested this a couple times, and this is the best one out of the batch, so it really does not like higher pressures. The Aircat did tremendous. This is the highest foot-pounds we've seen from a compact impact wrench so far, 419, and it obviously beats this Harbor Freight one by 25-30% again. So when comparing power, you would actually need to compare the Harbor Freight versus the IR, which would be a better matchup. Keep in mind the IR is 4.5 inches and the Harbor Freight's 4, and in that case the IR still comes in a little below the Harbor Freight. But considering the high pressure performance of the Harbor Freight, you'd have to keep that in mind if you expect to be using yours at above 120 psi or so. I will mention the Harbor Freight still performs very, very well in forward torque for some reason, so if that's your main task, you'll probably want to go with that. And then here's a comparison between the Nitrocat and the Astro Onyx 1822, which are the highest number of performing impacts we've tested so far. So up to the 10-second mark, they seem to actually make the same power, almost on the same curve as well. But after 10 seconds and at higher pressures, the Aircat starts to pull away. It doesn't seem like it's that significant, but it is noticeable. And then keep in mind also this is a 3.85 inch Nano versus a 4.5 inch Aircat. So we'll have to see how those numbers look. So looking at the scoring, the Nitrocat did quite well. Obviously it has the highest torque reading so far at 419, and it does well at foot-pounds per inch, even though it's a bit longer. But where it suffered, at least compared to the Nano, is it advertised 550 foot-pounds max torque, and actually a 700 foot-pounds breakaway, which we're ignoring for now. But that 550 made it 23.8% off of its advertised torque figures, so it's going to rank lower than Astro in that sense. The Harbor Freight did sort of middle of the pack. It definitely suffered by not increasing its best case scenario rating with higher pressure by sputtering. Then obviously the 550 foot-pounds torque rating hitting it as well, being 41.3% off of that figure. In the next part we'll have the new Milwaukee Gen 3 Compact. It's got its work cut out for it, but I'm excited to see how it performs, and we'll do a wrap-up of what the winner is and how everything looks on a graph. Subscribe and see.